Hello, and welcome to Social Distancing STEAM with the Everett Free Library. This is week 8, and today we will be making mozzarella. For this, you will need 1 gallon of milk and a pot on a stove. You will also need a thermometer, a 1 cup measure, a 1/4 cup measure, a colander or sieve. You will need a bowl and a ladle, a spoon for stirring your pot. You will also need either a heat-safe bowl and microwave or another pot of water and for use later. You may want some salt. From the kit, you will need the Rennet tablet and the citric acid. Add your Rennet tablet. You will use the whole tablet. The printed directions say 1/4 of it. Use the whole one. Don't break it up. Put that in your 1/4 cup measure along with some non-chlorinated water. This is important because the chlorine deactivates the rennet. Crush up your tablet and dissolve it in the water. You may need to let it set, put it in the water, set it aside for later. I'm going to let mine sit here to finish dissolving. Next, you will need to take your citric acid. Use 1½ teaspoons of citric acid in 1 cup of water and stir that until it dissolves. We will add this to our milk. Usually that the acidity in cheese is developed by naturally occurring cultures from the air. Different cheeses were made in different regions because of the different cultures that were present in those environments. Today, we often try to replicate cheeses from other areas, and so we add cultures to our milk. In addition to providing different flavors, the bacteria also helps to develop some acid in the milk. Often, cheese would be made once a day, but the cows or sheep or goats would be milked twice a day. And so the evening milk would be left to sit where it would be cultured from the air and then added to the morning milk, which was then used to make cheese. So it would have some acid developed. We are adding the citric acid to our milk to quickly develop some acidity for our cheese making. Stir that in thoroughly and begin heating your milk. We are going to heat our milk to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. In order to avoid scorching the milk, continue to stir until you reach this temperature. I'm going to use a floating glass thermometer for my pot, but any thermometer that you have that will reach a temperature as low as 90 will work. Some of your candy thermometers might be a little bit too high, but any thermometer that you have is fine. As you approach 90 degrees, your milk may start to curdle a little bit. That is okay. It is also okay if you don't have that change. But keep stirring until you reach 90. and then turn off your heat. We will add our stir your rennet to make sure that your tablet is completely dissolved. That is important. And then we will add it to our milk. Rennet is made from the lining of a calf's stomach, of one that has just been eating milk, not one that has switched over to foraging for grass or eating hay or silage. The story of how cheese making was discovered is that a liquid bag was made from a stomach, and milk was put in the bag and left to sit out in the hot sun, maybe on the back of a horse or a camel. Whenever it was opened to drink the milk later, it had formed curd. And so that was the discovery of making cheese. No one's really sure where exactly cheese was discovered, or how it was when exactly or where exactly it was first discovered. But that's the story of how we think cheese was discovered. Once you have added your rennet, stir slowly for about half a minute, and then let your milk sit still off of the heat, cover with a lid, and wait about 5 minutes and check your pot. I'll show you in a little bit what you're looking for, but you want your milk to sit still so that it can form curds. It will coagulate. The solids will stick together and begin to separate from the liquids called whey. Check your pot after about 5 minutes, and it may be longer, up to half an hour. See if you can pull the curd mass away from the edge of the pot, and the liquid that you see should be clear, not milky. You can also insert a knife or a finger down into your curd mass flat and pull up. You should get a clean break rather than one that falls apart. This is ready to be cut. We're going to use the knife to cut our curd into a checkerboard pattern with about 1-inch squares. Cut everything one direction. Make clean cuts the whole way through, clear to the bottom of the pot and the entire way across. And then cut your perpendicular to that in your other direction. What we're looking to do here is help drain the liquid off of the solids. Making cheese is a way of preserving milk, and the more moisture you remove, the longer you can preserve it. After you have your checkerboard pattern made, we're going to stir and cut up our curds a little bit more. We are also going to heat these. So you use your ladle or your spoon to gently stir and make some horizontal cuts through your curd mass while heating your curds. So turn your stove back on and use your thermometer. We're going to heat this to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. So stir gently, make gentle slices across your pot. The curds are fragile, and so stir gently to start with. You can be a little bit more aggressive as you drain more whey off, but you can see here how there's liquid and solid pieces. I'm just going to continue to stir and cut my curds. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to talk a little bit more about the general process of cheese making. All cheese follows sort of the same basic recipe. You have milk that you use at cow temperature, or you heat it a little bit. It gets some cultures, or in this case we added acid from the air, or added cultures because we're trying to replicate cultures from a different area. And then we add rennet to help coagulate the solids, help them stick together into a jello-like mass. We used calf rennet today, but there are some other vegetable rennets or microbial rennets that you can buy. Then you cut the curds and drain the whey off so that you hold on to the solids. The size of curd that you cut, the bigger curds will retain more moisture, smaller curds lose more. How high you cook your cheese to will also influence your final product. Higher temperature cheeses are drier, lower temperature cheeses have more moisture. Some cheeses add water to the vat, some don't. The Dutch cheeses, the Dutch used wooden cheese vats, so it was impossible to build a fire under their cheese vat to heat their milk. Dutch cheeses drain some whey off and then add hot water to heat their curds. The Alpine style cheeses, where the herds would overwinter in the valley and then graze up the mountains in the summer, made a lot of smaller batches, and they used copper kettles that they could transport up the mountain. A copper kettle you can build a fire under, so that the Alpine style cheeses apply heat rather than add water to heat the curds. Some cheeses get a cold water wash at the end. That also helps make them smooth and creamy. Here you can see how the curds are losing moisture as we stir. That is what we want. With the heat, they're getting a little bit stringy and sticking together. That is also okay. But keep stirring, because you don't want one solid mat at the bottom of your pot. You do want loose individual curds so that they can continue to lose moisture. Keep checking your temperature. We are aiming for 105 degrees, as I said, and keep stirring so that they don't stick together and don't also scorch on the bottom of your pot. Today we're making a fresh cheese. It's one that is intended to be eaten right away or within several days. Fresh cheeses are often a little bit more forgiving in technique, and so they're really good to start off with. They're also suitable for immediate eating, which is nice, rather than having a cheese that ages for 6 months before it is at peak flavor. If you're looking to expand your home cheese making experience, New England Cheesemaking or cheesemaking.com has a lot of really great home cheesemaking recipes that are designed for 1 gallon or 2 gallons of milk rather than 1,000 pounds or like a commercial sized amount. One of the things that I haven't talked about yet is pressing your cheese. Our curds today will not be pressed. We will heat them and stretch them later. But another factor in what changes your final product is pressing. So after we drain the whey off the curds, which we'll do in a little bit, they are heaped into molds, into hoops, and with followers that press down on the cheese. Some cheeses are just molded and left to sit under their own pressure. Some are put into a press and have double their pressure or 3 times. The pressure varies, but the higher the pressure, the firmer, the drier and firmer product you'll have. And that also varies. That will impact your final cheese product. Some cheeses are also salted before they are pressed. Those are often ones that are made near a coastal region where salt is abundant, because a lot of the salt will drain off as the cheese continues to lose a little bit of whey after it is or before during pressing. Other cheeses are put in to brine tanks after they are pressed. Those are often cheeses made farther from the coast where salt was harder to get, and so all the salt the salt penetrates the cheese wheel instead of draining out after pressing. I'm getting close to temperature here. We're looking here. You can see the curds have really lost a lot of liquid, and they're getting close to being ready to drain. But I'm gonna keep stirring for a couple degrees more, or a little bit more. We're almost there. And they are starting to stick together. As you get close to that 105 degrees, they will get stretchy and sort of stringy, and they'll want to stick together. That's okay. Here we've reached the 105 degrees. I move my pot off of the burner and turn it off. Stir a little bit more to keep them from sticking. There you can see how they've really lost a lot of that moisture, and that's a good, that's what they're supposed to look like at this stage. So you want to get a bowl and a colander or sieve for this stage, because we're going to drain off the whey in a moment. So there's a fun picture of what your curds should look like at this point. You do want them to stay unconsolidated, so keep stirring until stir for a minute or two after after you remove your pot from the burner to help them stay separated. I'm going to use the spoon to scoop out some of the curds. If you can pour everything directly into your colander. You can use your ladle to scoop curds out however you wish. But what we're trying to do is get all of the curds out of the way. So keep however you like to drain the whey off, that's fine. Mine are trying to stay away from my spoon. I'm going fishing and not being very successful. Okay, I'm gonna pour the rest into my strainer. You can see how I'm pouring off a lot of whey. The curds have settled to the bottom of my pot. That's what they do. So scoop them out. We're really trying to drain our curds at this point. So take your spoon and press out some of the whey. You can use your hand or you can use your spoon, but squish out what you can. And just work that around a little bit. It should feel your curd mash should feel sort of rubbery, and it should stick together and form one consolidated mass. It may be a little bit warm to touch right now. That's okay too. I'm gonna put it on a paper plate. That's my my microwave safe container. And then put it in the microwave. We want to heat our curd mass and drain off some more whey. We'll do that a couple of times. So I'm heating my curd in the microwave about 30 seconds. Every microwave is different, so that may not be enough for your microwave to really heat the curds any, or it may be too much if you have a really strong microwave. That it may be more than enough for each of these steps, but I'm gonna do about 30 seconds in mine. And then I'll take it out. What we're trying to do is heat it and drain off some more whey. So dump off the whey that has drained out of the curds. And it should be warmer and stretchier at this point. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon should be a good place to start, but you can adjust that to your taste. Just sprinkle it over and over the top. Then we're gonna knead our curd mass. It should be stretchy and just sort of fold it over like you're kneading bread dough. It's a little bit warm to touch, but we want to get it heated sort of evenly throughout. My edges are warmer than my center. Just fold it over, drain off any more whey that you can. Just keep folding it. You can see how it's getting sort of shiny and smooth. That's what we want. That's what we want here at this stage. So just work it a little bit, squish out some whey, and then I'm gonna put it back in the microwave to heat it again. And we're gonna do another 30 seconds or so. Again, this will change based on your microwave. If you prefer to not use a microwave, this is where your second pot and hot water comes. You can put your curds in a bowl and pour some hot water over them. There's printed directions that can help you with those steps. But you're trying to do the same thing, squish out whey and heat your curds. You want them to be stretchy and shiny. This step you want them to get stretchy, sort of shiny, and then once they get fairly shiny and smooth and heated throughout, we will stretch them. But just keep kneading, drain off whatever whey you can, and just keep working your curds. So that's what I'm gonna heat it one more time in the microwave, and then okay, that's looking better. And now I'm going to stretch it. This is what gives mozzarella some of its characteristic texture. So you want to just stretch it and double it over. And stretch it and double it over. It may be fairly hot at this point. So this is where you may really want gloves. You want to stretch it out. Actually, I think mine needs to be a little bit warmer. So if it's not stretching well, you can always stick it back in the microwave and heat it some more. The stretching is what gives mozzarella there. That stretches really nicely. And so you may need to heat it several times, or you may not. It just depends on your microwave and what your cheese is like. But you want it to stretch out long and double up over. You'll know you're done whenever your cheese is smooth and shiny, which mine is fairly shiny right now. But you don't want it to break. Once you get it shiny, you can knead it back into a ball. You tuck the ends down in the bottom. You want it to be smooth on top. Whenever you get it formed like that, it's ready to eat. You can stick it in the fridge and let it cool down. It's best when it's cooled a little bit, but there you have mozzarella. Thank you for joining us with our social distancing STEAM program at the Everett Free Library. This will be our last week until summer reading is over. We do invite you to join our summer reading program. You can register for that by going to the library's website or Facebook page, and then to the summer reading tab. We are still accepting registrations for that, and we have several weeks of great activities planned for you. Thanks.